Hello, everyone. I'm seeing a lot, like a trend of people that talk about narcissists, and I think they're a little confused about what a narcissist is. If you've ever read in Greek mythology, um, the guy that was so in love with his reflection that he fell into a pool of water and died because he couldn't stop staring at himself. That's narcissism. Somebody that's completely in love and infatuated with themselves and thinks they're God and amazing, and they end up in their own demise. Um, I just wanted to, because I've known some crazy people. I've known some real twisted, crazy people that acted like that. And when I was younger, I told my dad I wanted to be a social worker. I wanted to study psychology and all that fun stuff. And he was like, go make money first, and then you can help people. And so that's what I did. I went and got regular jobs and studied on the side. I was really, really into abnormal psychology. Um, it's more of a hobby for me. It's just one of those things, like, but be careful if you're into that sort of thing, because curiosity will kill the cat. And, yeah. So, um, but do some research before you can easily. I've researched cults. I've researched cult behavior. I've researched um, what it takes to leave a controlling group or a controlling person. I've researched domestic violence a lot. I've been in weird situations myself. Um, you know, I don't need to share that, obviously, but it's really hard to deprogram from an organization that's might be brainwashing you, keeping you trapped in your life, using you, exploiting you, manipulating you, and making you forget who you are, basically. Um, but I understand what someone might be going through if they feel like they have a controlling relationship or controlling group. I don't know. Maybe you're in a gang. Maybe you're in organized crime, and that's the normal in your life or whatever. But it helps to go back in time to who your parents were and how they took care of you and how they really raised you versus some group. I watched something about NXIVM, the NXIVM cult, and the MLM, that was multi-level marketing about a sex trafficking organization that was disguised as a legitimate self-help group. I would never. Anybody could fall for that kind of thing. Um, but I did a ton of research years ago about controlling groups and used to read a lot of books, and I'm more of like a antisocial type of person. So when I was around people, and it was hard for me to not want to analyze them and see where they came from and what they were doing in their chosen field of work, and if they were, I get that way with everybody. I get curious. But be careful. Um, so anyways, now that I have, well, I think before my dad died, he said, you need some new friends. Because he knew the people that I was around. I was around some sketchy people all the time. And had to survive that. Uh, be careful. They say the most dangerous time to leave a domestic violence situation is when, or the most dangerous moment is when you're leaving, when you're trying to leave, when you're figuring out a way to go. Uh, if you feel like there's nobody to trust, you know, because an abuser will make you feel that way, or a group could make you feel that way. There's polygamous cults. I've met some Mormons before who weren't in those polygamous cults, but I read Escape by Carolyn Jessup about how she left and had to start over and find normal, you know. Um, it's a great book if you're confused in your life of, you know, I don't know. I met some interesting characters, so. So anyways, I wanted to share, before my dad died, we had this thing, he watched The Sopranos all the time, and I was like, I sent him a text of a YouTube snippet of Meadow Soprano getting drunk at a funeral and throwing things and singing Britney Spears and being like, I'm out of here, I'm going, and then being like, this is such bullshit to her dad. And I sent that to my dad before he died because I knew, like, our relationship was the same. And he was making fun of me and he was like, you're a drunk and you get drunk too and that's your problem and blah, blah, blah. My dad was a recovering alcoholic. So what bothered me before he died was that he didn't care if I drank, which was like bullshit. So I sent him that and he's like, you know. But another cult is AA. Be careful with that because they'll convince you to drink. All it is repetition of I'm an alcoholic. The next thing you know, here's your glass of whatever. Constant. So it is like a sales scheme. But I watched The 13th Step, the documentary about AA, and that is another cult where you can get sexually harassed, you can get taken advantage of financially, you can get hurt. I've gone in there so many times where people have a big scratch on their face, and I would leave my little blue campaign things like, get the fuck out of here. Human trafficking, you know, sex trafficking. Predators, they send sex offenders to AA, the courts do, as the like rehab, which makes no freaking sense. Why are you here? But anyways, I just thought I'd talk about that and talk about how there's pop psychology. People, like I said, people that don't know what a narcissist is. That's not what a narcissist is. It's not just some monster. It's somebody that's obsessed with themselves and thinks they're God. I've met people like that. Somebody, I'm not going to talk about it, but I've met, usually celebrities are like that, and people who run big organizations. And I would consider the guy Keith Raniere from NXIVM a narcissist. He was in love with himself and thought he was God. Harvey Weinstein, probably. Puff Daddy, always on the news, you know. R. Kelly. There's female narcissists. Yeah, people that are obsessed with themselves. So anyways, you've got it wrong. It's not just some monster. I would look into abnormal psychology. I did research for a couple of years and watched thousands and thousands of videos on BDSM, which is very dangerous, and somebody would actually pay these women. I've seen many cases of women feeling like their life was shattered after doing pornography. Or working in the sex industry, or working as a stripper. I went to apply for a job like that, not really gonna do it, But I said I'd wait tables at a strip club once, and then he was like, "Here, hang out and see if you like it." And I hung out, and I felt really bad for the women who worked there. You know, they looked trapped, like in a psychological prison, I would say. So, anyways, I volunteer to study and let somebody know that's not their fault. When I was 15, I got tattooed by older people that should have never been in my life, which is how I ended up in foster care. I was a teenager that was like a delinquent and nobody cared. I wouldn't say my parents didn't care, but a lot of people saw what was going on and didn't care. They care now, which is great. There's more like this. The Polk County Sheriff's Office is always doing stings on child predators, which is great. Awesome. Our sheriff's office now is finally tackling that issue, and they said that they'd want to do it more. I get furious. I turn into a mad woman when I find out a kid might be getting abused, because I was that kid once. I would never, when I even think about my baby crying, I turn into a crazy girl. And that's natural, you know. I would never want to ever be sad, like, for any reason, or to get hurt, or, you know, I turn into a crazy girl. So, my dad took us out of school when we were younger, and it was because we were around bad people. Numerous times I'd be in the back of a car with some 20-something-year-old guy listening to Too Short and being groomed for God knows what, and the cops would show up, and I was an easy target as a 13-year-old that had a mom who was absent, I would say. So anyways, my dad would take over and, you know, stop that, and we stayed out of school. We did homeschool, and the friends I ended up having back then are no longer here because of their lifestyle choices. And like I said numerous times, I was lucky. So now I still study psychology. I'm still obsessed with certain things because some things are just wrong in this world. And some things are obviously wrong. And it's taken a toll on me mentally, emotionally. Some of the people I've met are really crazy and really dangerous. Don't even know where to begin, but I think if my dad were here today, you know, he, like he said, make new friends. This is, he wasn't stupid. He educated me for a long time, ever since I was a kid, about organized crime. And I'm not dumb, you know. Maybe some people think I'm stupid or whatever, but I'm not. Or, you know, the great thing about organized crime is they wish you would go away. Just go away. You're in the way of what we're doing. Nah. I'm gonna be as annoying as possible. And it is funny. So I've met the weirdest people who look like they want to get out of that life. And you made your bed. You made your bed a long time ago. And I can't help being amused by it. Entertained. I study you. So fascinating. I've also studied, like I said, the pornography world is the craziest shit I've ever seen, that somebody would get roped into that and get paid and have their life destroyed. And for them to never feel safe again. I studied it for years because I knew, and it's scary. It's very scary. I can't even talk about that. It's so scary what goes on. And, you know, the girls in that were Rex Howerman, whatever his name is, the serial killer that killed a bunch of sex workers. Women that escape that world have to put up with the fact that there are men out there that hate them that much. The first serial killer in America was H.H. Holmes. There's this great book called Devil in the White City, about him and how he'd lure average women in with a job. Sorry, my voice is shaking because I've been there. With a job, a place to live, all these great things, and kill them. You know, you can't trust people. Anybody that trust your gut and learn self-defense. Because there is so many instances where somebody played good cop, bad cop, or whatever, and somebody played the good guy and turned out to, if you've ever seen, my friend used to make fun of me all the time at work, talking about, hello, Clarice, you know, like if you've ever seen Silence of the Lambs, that's what these people are really like. Like, here, come help me with this. Next thing you know, you're kidnapped. It's how it's done. So, no, these people don't change. They get worse and you could die. It's common fucking sense. I have a lot of people that, like, it's amazing. It's amazing. And I've studied it for a long time. It's a interest for me. It's very fascinating how people really are. There's no right and wrong. There's no, well, maybe this will help or maybe they'll get better. No, it gets worse. And if you're not educated, I don't want to call somebody stupid because it's mean. If you aren't educated about serial killers, kidnappers, sex trafficking, organized crime, and how it all works, it's real simple. I was practically forced to watch mobster movies my whole life so I'd be aware. And my dad would tell me to stay away from certain people. When I moved to New York, he was like, hell no. You know what I mean? Like, those are bad people. And he was talking about, because I lived with Jewish people in New York, and I told my dad about what I'd read in the paper when I was there about some Jewish guy throwing his son into, killing him, throwing him into a dumpster, and my dad's like, those are some bad boys right there. And I'm like, yeah, what else is new? And I just kept to myself and kept, you know, I had people telling me what to do with my life, and ended up getting a real estate license instead, just like my grandpa did. That's his real estate license. Board of Realtors in, I want to say Michigan, somewhere in Michigan. But my dad told me to do that, and it kept me from listening to stupid people that thought I should be doing something else with my life. Anyways, I'm more of an antisocial person, and a lot of I'll just be honest, like, you're not gonna like me. If you're involved in something illegal, you're not gonna like me. I'm sorry. And you're probably gonna hate me. You're gonna wish I wasn't here, and you're just not gonna like me. Okay? So, the more I never said anything, but my presence made people uncomfortable. Good. I don't regret a thing. So, anyways, scrunchy life, 90s, holy shit. I just want to put this out there about the ignorance, and I will never call somebody stupid that doesn't know about what really goes on in the real world. I was shocked many times to find out certain things. I couldn't leave the house, and maybe I was better off not leaving the house because I've been in sticky situations many times. But I would say if you're in a relationship, or you think a job isn't real, or it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. If somebody wants to pay you to have sex, it's not normal. You're brainwashed. It's not your fault. Somebody convinced you that that was the right thing to do, and that was the only way to make money in this world. It's not true. And there are options out there. There's a human trafficking hotline. There's the Blue Campaign, Homeland Security. They deal with this stuff now. This isn't the 90s where they get away with it. These people do end up in jail. Harvey Weinstein, Puff Daddy's on trial now. R. Kelly, bye-bye. He brainwashed those girls. And they defended him, which is disgusting, because they were either afraid or believed that that was a normal life. It's not normal, and it is like being deprogrammed from a cult. It's like you have to leave. You don't have a choice, or you could die. That's another way you could look things up. These people are very charismatic and controlling and dangerous, and I've been all over the country, like, not knowing what to do many times. And sometimes things just fizzle out, and next thing you know, something else happens. And then next thing you know, something else happens, and you just keep surviving and surviving and surviving. I don't have recommendations for where to go, what to do. Only you know what's best for you. But you can look into, I don't know. I ordered some new materials. I'm more honest about this stuff. I'm very aware of what goes on. I'm not stupid. It's abnormal. And now I'm going to be getting some books on abnormal psychology, about people that promote this kind of thing, and bystanders, and the ones who instigate it, get paid from it. That is abnormal. I did have, like, psychology is my thing. Like, when I took it in college, it was really boring because it wasn't what I was really into, is the abnormal aspect. But I do that on the side, and I also look into terrorism and, groups like the Capitol riot. That's domestic terrorism and abnormal. Completely abnormal with your little stupid craziness. Insane. Out there. That happened on my birthday, by the way. So happy birthday to me. I can't believe that happened. I think it's horrifying. But like I said, I had to take over some bills for my dad. I moved into my dad's house and took over some bills, and my next book is going to be a big, thick textbook of abnormal psychology. It's one of those things that I'm very interested in, and it's a passion of mine. And I also have my little materials on the way if anybody that needs these phone numbers and to know what a human trafficking situation really is. I won't show you, but I collected videos for years of what it looks like. I was obsessed. My dad had to stop me at one point. I ended up moving away and I was still obsessed. And it was one of those things. It's kind of, I would say it's like being obsessed with sharks. Like, wow, you're so dangerous. You know what I mean? But anyways, consider it a shark in that world. If you're questioning whether to leave a strip club, maybe you work at a strip club, or maybe you're in a gang and you don't know how to leave and everybody knows who you are and you can't trust anybody. Involved in something like that. I've known a lot of people that try to leave gangs, and there are outreach people that will deprogram you and let you know that that's not the life you chose. I've met some people who obviously the best thing you can do for yourself is to remember your life before that. And it's not your fault. You aren't that person. Just like leaving a cult. I mean, Carolyn Jessup was obviously forced to be in the FLDS. The Jonestown Massacre, those people couldn't leave. They would pass notes to someone trying to rescue them. Even the person who tried to rescue them died. That's how dangerous that is. Waco, complete mess of trying to get people out of there. If you can't leave, literally, this is what this says. If you are unable to walk out the door, after what I've been through, I like to have windows open. I like to have doors open. I like to feel the sunshine. I like to see water. These are my personal things. If I can't walk in and out of a door and somebody's standing there with a gun or locks the door or takes my clothes away or molests me or assaults me or whatever, it's not my fault, and it's not your fault if that happens to you as well. Another documentary I could recommend is The Invisible War or The Hunting Ground, about rape culture. Abnormal. Obviously abnormal. They will convince you that it's normal because they deserve your delusional. I've been to a rape crisis center for myself. You know, it's not fun. I've been in support groups for survivors of rape. And my dad was like, why didn't you tell me this happened to you? You're lying to me. I'm like, because you don't care. You let it happen. You're like, I blamed him. I'm like, you should have told me that these people do what they do. We got in the biggest fights before he died. But it's one of those things where if you're like, I get mad at people now. How could you leave me in such a dangerous situation? How could you tell me that's okay or normal or be a bystander? So that's why I would be mad at myself for years for watching those videos and not trying to help with what was going on. So I can't live with myself if I don't try to, if I don't raise my voice to say, like, you need to watch these people and what they do and not go with them or let them entice you. In New York, it's really common to get trafficked. If you're broke, you have no job, and everybody else is living off sugar daddies or, abnormal. Abnormal completely. So the girls I knew that were involved in that sort of thing for years, I've known a lot of women who were, and I would watch The Invisible War and how sticky that situation is, how you're brainwashed and attacked, and people will convince you that that's what you're supposed to be doing. Run away is what I recommend. I can recommend running away. Who cares? If they don't know what's going on, they don't care what's happening to you, most likely they're involved if they try to stop you from leaving. It's kind of like one of those things, gaslighting, it's like being in any abusive environment where somebody's like, well, you're the crazy one, for getting in the water with a shark, I would say. You know what I mean? If you're unaware that there's sharks in the water, there's flags on the beach of when there's dangerous marine life and when there's not. But it doesn't always mean, like they even say on the signs, even if there's no flag there, like usually there's a purple flag if there's sharks or jellyfish or whatever. But it doesn't mean if there's an absence of the flag that it's not happening. I mean, that they're not out there. It's not your fault if you're stupid enough to get in the water and you like, but you should know you're risking it. You're risking everything getting it. There's nobody that's going to stop this. But like I've been, oh boy, bit by jellyfish before, and the lifeguard will be there after to put some crap on your leg and make you feel better. And I did. I went right back in the water and said, screw you. Bite me again. You jerk. Lucky, I would say. Very lucky. So be careful. If you're trying to leave a bad person, a bad relationship, a bad organization, think about what you're doing and know that you are swimming with sharks. You're in the water. You are in the water. You're getting bit. You're going to have to recover. You're going to need help recovering. And they're not always going to be there. That's another thing that I wake up every day. I have PTSD. I wake up every day like, oh, when is this going to happen to me again? I wake up every day thinking, oh, here we go. Somebody's going to do this to me. Somebody's going to yank me out of my house. Or whatever the heck. None of your business. I'm not going to talk about it. But you will recover. Just like the jellyfish sting hurt, the cream made it better. I still go swimming. If it happens again, I know they'll have that stupid fucking cream and it's not going to hurt forever. I'm not saying keep doing it, but I'm saying that the water isn't always going to be dangerous. Look out for the flags. Purple, oh, it's dangerous marine life, not going in. Bye-bye. Pay attention to stuff like that. But it's not always going to happen in the water sometimes. I just went to the beach, and that's the way I see it. Watch out for the flags. Know that you're going to need treatment to recover. People sometimes won't care and will blame you. Well, you got in the water, Yeah, because I wanted to swim. and I deserve to be happy. Um, People like that, ignore it. But I'll get into that in my next video.